Well, a very good day to you. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Kernels. If you're not familiar with this series, each installment in Kernels is a quick pop, and that's a popcorn joke of professional development for you as we usually we're chatting with an in-practice librarian who's got something cool going on in their library. And today that is Miss Mary Markwalter from the Mason City Public Library. She is the director there. And I have to say, when I was at the ILA conference in 2024, a state representative from Mary's district, Ms. Sharon Steckman, was one of three legislators who were serving on a panel. And she made this sort of passing comment to Mason City having a first in the nation adult summer reading program. And my ears perked up at that. I thought that's a really interesting thing. And so I reached out to Mary and said, what did Miss Steckman mean when she called your adult summer reading program the first in the nation? And Mary explained that they were very early adopters of having a dedicated summer library program run just for adults. And so I invited Mary to come here on Kernels today, talk a little bit about the history of their program, what it looks like today, and maybe if your library is not doing a summer library program for adults, how you could start one up. So Mary, thanks for being here. And could you tell us a little bit about the Mason City community and its library?
Yes, thanks for having me. Mason City is about 27,000 people in our city, and our county is Cerro Gordo County, and there are about 48,000 in the county. And so there are, other libraries in the county, but, Clear Lake has a very nice, they're all very nice libraries. But it would be the closest in size to us. We're pretty large. And the community really likes the library. They've been really supportive of everything. We have 28,000 active card members here. When I came here in 2008, we had about 4,000. So we're doing pretty good on getting out there and getting in front of people. And they really appreciate it. They appreciate the building. It's a very nice building, and there's plenty of room, even if you're not a reader. You can come and visit people or read the paper or just come and stare out the really pretty views of the windows.
I have been to the Mason City Library, and the view out your storytime room and out that other back reading room that you have. Yeah, I could sit there and read a paper or play a game on my phone, no problem. That'd be a great place to do that. So I understand from talking with you that you started a program for summer reading for adults way back in 2010. Is that right?
Yes, we did.
Yeah. So tell us kind of why you decided way back then that you should have a summer reading program for grown-ups.
Well, we needed, in my opinion, more programming for adults. So that's where we started. And we really wanted to get things in motion, excuse me, because the renovation had, hampered what we could do from 2008 until 2010. Excuse me. And so this is what we came up with because nobody was doing it. So we didn't really have a template to follow, but we thought, oh, we'll keep it simple, just kind of keep it kind of passive if we can. And we had like 200 people sign up the first year. We thought we'd get 30, 40 people. And it's been wildly popular every year since then. And it's gotten more elaborate. The programming has become more elaborate, more prizes, that kind of thing.
So you mentioned starting pretty passive, just maybe read 4 or 5 books.
Right.
And get it entered for drawing. So what are some of the dedicated summertime programming that you've added on then to sort of ramp up that engagement with adults in Mason City?
We started a live music series. And so it always runs it's on Fridays from 11 to 1 between Memorial Day and Labor Day. And then we do it again like the 3 days between Christmas and New Year's. There are, Mason City Music City here. And so there are a lot of really great bands here. So I just started going to see some of them and then asking them, would they consider playing for a couple hours at the library? Because we don't have much money. I raised the money. And then the Friends of the Library and the Library Foundation matched me. So I raised about 2,000 this year, and they are going to match me with 2,000 each. And that kind of covers it, but we're not paying a lot, but the musicians really like the idea of playing here. So we have a big commons area where that's where our coffee shop is. And that's not a very formal space. So we, encourage people to have their conversations out there if they need to talk on the phone, if they, that kind of thing. And so it's been a big hit. And if we now, if we didn't have it, it would be a problem. So
People have gotten so used to having it over the years.
right.
You mentioned prizes at some point. What have prizes looked like for your adult program?
We do gift cards, from the local coffee shops, and also like we have library sweatshirts. We'll give some of that kind of thing away. And then we also do like a gift, an overnight stay at the Historic Park Inn Hotel. It's the only Frank Lloyd Wright designed hotel left in the world. And so that's very nice. So we really try to there's a new bookstore in Mason City, and it's a real bookstore. It's Three Bells Books, and it's just a beautiful space. And we work with them a lot to buy prizes and things like that. And it's wildly popular.
That's great.
Mhm.
So it sounds like then some partnerships come into play as you're scheduling like that summer conference series and building these prizes. How else do you utilize partners as you're thinking about summer reading?
Well, sometimes we have performers. We don't do the big shows anymore, but we do have people who come in if they have an interesting program that's related to the theme for the year, just to speak. One of them that we started last year was the Birds of Prey program. It's wonderful. If you haven't seen it, go to one. And they're a volunteer organization. And man, they did 2 shows for us, and they were both fantastic. So, and it's something kids and adults, everybody can come to it. And it was just fascinating.
You mentioned starting, 15 years ago, I guess this will be your 15th year of an adult program, having that initial response of a couple hundred people registering, adding in these extra programs. What do you hear from adults in the community about participating in summer reading?
Oh, they really like it. People ask about it frequently throughout the year. They're really pleased, during summer when it's going on. We've actually expanded it to year-round programming. So we do some prizes throughout the year, some reading challenges throughout the year, just like the Youth Services Department does. So they match it up really nicely, do some really wonderful displays that are quite elaborate and well done, and people love it. So, even if you don't participate in it, they're very house proud about it.
How do you still build excitement about reading in particular, even adding in these extra programs kind of alongside the reading program?
Oh, yeah. Well, the librarians do a wonderful job of, we always need to stay in everyone's line of vision.
Mhm.
And you can't just do it the same way all the time, or, it kind of dies on the vine. And so we have many media outlets that, promote our things for us for free. And I think the programs themselves, we have quite a few book clubs, library-sponsored book clubs, and we have a lot of book sets that people can borrow for their own book club. So it really brings people in from all around the county and the contiguous counties as well. So, they just really like it. They like it that they can request items. They can make suggestions about programming. We do a lot of Humanities Iowa programs, which are just fabulous. And it's a great program. And I have always enjoyed those programs when I was able to go to them. So, we just kind of mix it up with that. There's local entertainment we have, and then there's classes that we offer depending on the theme of the program. We did an escape room for a couple of years. That was really elaborate. It was big. And it got on Saturdays, it was a little hard for us to manage because we're very short on Saturdays. And you kind of have to know what you're doing to manage the escape room. So it was a little tense. And so we're trying to figure out how to do it a little more simply, but have it be interesting. So
Yeah.
we're having to modify that one a little bit, but yeah.
Another program you were telling me about that I think sounded really interesting as far as building in, library collections and community engagement was your cookbook club.
Oh my gosh, the cookbook book club that we subscribe to the database Food America A to Z. And so we wanted to promote it. And so one of our librarians suggested, well, why don't we have, a book club for it, and then we'll walk them through the database, you know. So that sounded good. Well, then right away it turned in, well, why don't we choose a theme and have everybody bring food for that theme? So it's like this really neat community potluck. And it took off right away. It's really big. They get at least 30 people, 35 people every month when the cookbook book club meets. And the food is wonderful. And you also get a little cookbook from that night's recipes of the recipes from that night, which is great. Katie Koopman is one of our librarians in adult services, and she just really has a knack for bringing people in, but also making there's a lot of value to it. And I can't believe when I see the people who come in, it's everybody, it's families, it's older people, it's younger people, and we always tell people we need eaters. So even if you're not a cook, we always need people to come and sample the food and meet everybody and talk about what they like. And then, as I said earlier, it's really easy to have librarians on duty on that Monday night because you get to eat at the book club.
Easier to supervise the cookbook book club than the escape room, huh?
That's right. Yeah. Oh, much. Yeah, much, much. But yeah, it's just, and it's kind of it's a serious thing on one thing. We're trying to promote the databases and encourage people to do that, but there's somehow something a little whimsical about it too. And yeah, people just love it. And they ask about it, and I just tell them, well, come once and see if you like it, and then be an eater, and then if you want to start doing it, you can.
There you go. So we kind of talked a little bit at the beginning about how coming out of a renovation project, you were trying to sort of build some goodwill back up in the community and engage people who might not normally be library users. And it sounds to me like some of that effort, which maybe was initially targeted in that first opening summer for you guys, has really grown to drive a lot of community engagement there in Mason City. Have I kind of summed that all up? And a lot of it thanks to this summer reading for grownups.
Yeah, to expand it for all ages. And I'll tell you, they make good suggestions. We, in our really pretty Denison room, the one you were talking about, overlooks the creek, and it's just a beautiful reading room, all glass. And people, when you have new people come on board to work at the library and then you get patrons making suggestions, if we don't have a big puzzle out to work on in that Dennison room all the time, we hear about it. And people give us cool puzzles. So, we were really, initially we bought some, but we don't even have to do that anymore. So, but yeah, we get the, like, can you change the puzzle? We're done. You guys need to pay attention. So,
Get
yeah.
over here, get us a new one. There you go. So
Mhm.
how over the years, have you defined success for the adult summer reading program? Numbers is one way, and it sounds like you've had some really big numbers, but how else have you been able to look and say, this program has been a success for our library, for our community?
Yeah. Oh, the feedback from the patrons is really important because if people really like something, they will give feedback. If they're just like, oh, it's okay, they don't say anything. If they had a really bad experience, they may say something. I've never had a complaint about it at all, ever. And one thing that programming and collection development has helped with is when I came here in 2008, I heard a lot of people for the first, couple of years, 3 years, would say, well, I was visiting my sister in Arizona and they have this, blah, 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 blah. And I don't ever hear that anymore because they're telling people what they have.
Yeah.
That makes them proud of their community too. And Mason City has always been very supportive of the library. They passed a levy in 1937 during the Depression to build this really beautiful building. And then they passed it again in 2007, which was, a recession. So I think it's interesting that during those times that the citizens came together and wanted that. We have seen a huge uptick in the last 3 months of people coming to the library, and it's different people all the time. Our meeting rooms, you can hardly get a reservation. So that's how important they are to people, especially during perceived hard times.
Mhm. Absolutely. Um, so now turning to the future a little bit, what are you guys looking forward to this summer? You've got your music series still going?
We have the music series is all set up and sponsored and ready to go. They're promoting it. Of course, we have all programming for all ages, and we've pretty much loaded in what we need for it for the summer. Because we were a little worried about shipping slowdowns and that kind of thing. So we pretty much have what we ordered. There were some great things to purchase through the American Libraries, through the iRead program, actually. And so we got some really cool prizes from them. And I always like to buy a few things like for grandkids and other kids that visit my office. So this year it was decoder rings. I got decoder rings. They are, if you don't have any, get some. They're wonderful. And, the kids haven't heard of decoder rings. That's kind of an antiquated thing, but it's very cool.
Well, sounds like a fun summer.
Mhm.
The question I always like to end a kernel with is, so summer reading programs for adults are way more common now than they were when you guys started back in 2010. But if a library hadn't yet started a program, what would you say to encourage them to get one started?
I would say, start it simple so that you can get used to it and the patrons can get used to it because you don't want it to be complicated because then they won't sign up and then it's hard to manage it. So, start it off simple, small, easy access, and then just, try to keep that easy access all along, but, you can make the program bigger, longer, all those things, as you go. But yeah, I think in order to not intimidate the staff and the public, you can just kind of keep it simple. And, people are really happy with just a passive program. I mean, they like the extra things that we do because they do craft days and all those kinds of things, just like in the youth department. And people, really like that and sign up for it. It's well attended. Which, we weren't sure about that in the beginning, but we didn't start with that. We just started with, hey, sign up. We have weekly prizes, enter for a weekly prize, and then there's a grand prize. And we don't, we just gave them a log to keep, and they could turn in the logs each week. And you could read whatever you wanted. We did special displays, but they could still, read whatever you want. And so that's kind of how it was, kind of loose and simple. And it's still, in many aspects, is loose and simple as well.
Well, I think it's really great. And I also think, just kudos to your advocacy effort and your promotion efforts that your representative knew about the program and was excited about it and could tell, say that first in the nation line. So it's a really exciting thing. And we're thankful that it was an effort you pioneered all those years ago. And as you think forward to this summer, best of luck. I'm sure you'll have a lot of fun and maybe meet some new people, get some new faces in the door. Thank you, Mary. Thank you very much. So this wraps up this kernel. If you are doing something cool in your library with summer reading or anything else, and you'd like to see it featured in a kernel, send a note out to your district consultant or to me here at the State Library, and we'd love to hear what you've been up to. So have a great rest of your day, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.